Hello and welcome along to another episode of this FM21 Build a Nation story from Bangor City with me, Daniel. We're back in a January transfer window. It's all the Barrys today. But more importantly than that, miracles do happen. Because you can see from the top right of the screen, ignore everything else. After the last episode, we have got Shakhtar in the Europa League next month. Forget the rest, we got to talk about that. If you're looking forward to this episode, please do chuck a thumbs up on it. Subscribe down below for daily FM21 videos. There's all the playlists and stuff up in the eye above. Please do go and check those out. But let's start on the schedule. Because if it wasn't for the fact that it was about 20 to 12 at night, I was on the laptop and everyone else was asleep, I would have been doing an impromptu episode from the middle of this game. Because ignore the two before it. We beat PSG by 2-1. Yes, they were very kind to us. They'd won the group already. They rested everyone, a bit like Atletico Madrid the year before. But Tom Jones, one of our own homegrown youngsters, and Kane Walters, the stars, as we got a ridiculous win. I was clinging on, and then made a couple of time-wasting changes late on. I'm not quite sure how we won the match in truth. If we go and have a look at the overall, you can see we managed to have a very good expected goals despite the fact it was a pretty even game. We sacrificed possession. We did what we often do in those big games. We dropped to a balanced mentality. We sat a bit deeper behind the ball. We had Harvey Lloyd who was unavailable. We had Bektas at left back unavailable. And Kelly has now come in as our first choice centre half alongside Whittaker. That has stayed the case. But we put in a great performance against a very weakened side from PSG. And that's come back to be brilliant because it snuck us through. Because if we have a look at the other result on the last day, Thun lost 3-2 against AC Milan. It was 1-1 early doors. They got a second late on, and if they'd equalised there, we actually got to the end and were more worried about their result than ours. Because if we'd gone out after beating PSG, I would have been absolutely devastated. Mortified, in fact. But we get through, and somehow with 5 points, we're still in the Europa League. And the fight to push up that coefficient is still on. You can see in the last 4 or 5 games as well, we've really found our form in front of goal 2. So after that TNS blip, we've come back towards form. Did have another 2 drop points in the league against our rivals Bala, but things looking very, very good. So a 4-0 win started it away at Swansea Uni. Still nearly call them Met every time. Tom Jones, Ewan McKinnon and a Kane Walters brace. 3-0 against Llandudno in the Cup. Morgan, Loza and Rosario. A 2-1 win against PSG we've talked about. The miracle night at home to the Parisians. And then away at Bala. Probably a little hangover, I think. We rested a few of them stayed in. But you can understand why. After that Wednesday night, there was a little bit of a sort of relaxing performances, or a little bit of a lapse, I guess, overall. Kyo Bulkley got our goal, but we were pegged back in the second half. We then got back-to-back wins against basement side Newtown, 6-0 away from home. McKinnon with a hat-trick, Tom Jones with a brace, and Patrick Malone with 1. An 8-0 win against Newtown, Rosario's hat-trick, Walters' hat-trick, and Jones and Whittaker with 1 each. A 3-1 win on Boxing Day against Llandudno, McKinnon, Broom and Jones with our goals, before a 6-1 in a return victory at home. It was Gareth Doran with an own goal, one of our former youngsters, before a Walters brace, Jones, Broom and McKenzie got the rest. And then a 4-0 win away at Kefan Druids. Lots of late goals from Tom Jones, as well as Reyes and Walters in the first half. Brilliant form. It's Barry's doubleheader now. Let's see how we get on, shall we? The League Cup is to follow in a week's time. But firstly, it is the Welsh Premier League. We are still top. We've dropped a few points this year, but other sides not quite catching us as quickly. There's been bigger moves in the transfer window. Colwyn Bay still up there in second place, as you can see, with TNS and Barry following after that. In terms of transfers, not been a huge amount this month so far. The two biggest ones, really, are the fact that Colwyn Bay have bought in Connor Gray, who is a really good centre midfielder at this level, and they're starting to show a big step up some of these clubs. And he's worth 12-13 grand, which is more than others have been in the past. And then Alex Reid went to Barrytown United, another one of our former players. Let's just see where he was. Yeah, he was with us season 3 and 4, Then went off to Wigan for very little money, got a big move to Forest Green, and is now back in the Welsh Prem a few years later. So Barrytown United getting a player that should be in his peak now. And after a few years at Manchester United as a youngster, he's had the best schooling. He's got an opportunity to be a superstar. So good players coming back into the Welsh League. I mean, even Connor Gray before that had been playing at Chester in England. These are players that are used to playing football at a higher level, and they're coming to make the Welsh League better. So fingers crossed that trend continues. We'll see what the rest of the month's got in store. But let's go and get into the two games. Barrytown United. Let's see what lineup we can put out for the first one, whether it's one that can compete at the top level and whether we can get 2 wins in a row. Because in the last few games at least, we've started to look scintillating. So we've basically had to go near enough full rotation. Harvey Lloyd's coming back to fitness. It's just his second game back. George Wicken's obviously starting in goal. Whittaker coming back from injury at centre-half too. And then the only two with a heavy match load I've got to play are Tom Jones and Ewan McKinnon. That's because, as you can see on the bench, Bulkley's not quite back to fitness yet. The same for Loza as a striker. So today, we've got Wickens in goal, Morgan and Weaver the fullbacks with Pasiarek and Whittaker at centre-half. Lloyd, Malone, Anderson and Jones the midfield diamond with McKinnon and Rosario up front. And I know McDonald's got the injury, but both him and McKinnon have now agreed extended loan deals until 2034. So another season of those two, the Wonder Kid and a superstar right back. Lots to look forward to at Bangor City. Things are back on the right track. A mini crisis averted. Now, let's go and batter Barry. So Barrytown, a side that are definitely developing in terms of first 11. They've not got Alex Reid available yet. I'm not quite sure of the reasoning for that. But we do see the likes of Harry Morgan, our former youngster, but also Dean Rogers, a former player. Harry Gray and King we know are great. Josh Thomas up front too. They're starting to build a pretty good team here. I'm starting to think they might be able to compete again soon. They've had a bit of a dodgy year where they've had a shorter squad. They've had a few injury troubles. I mean, every other time we've played them, they've been 3 or 4 players short. But when they're at their best, Barrytown, probably the toughest opposition on paper. But let's see how they do today as Malone and Anderson exchange passes in the middle. Goes wide to Rosario, who finds Weaver. Overlapping from left back. Has lost his place in the team this year, of course, to Bektas, but still doing well. And in he comes to the box again. Gets to that byline, into Rosario. The cutback is blocked. I thought by Rogers. Oh, it was a free kick for offside. I'd wondered why it hit the defender and then be given as a goal kick. As Harvey Lloyd puts a free kick in, hits Whittaker on the line. And it eventually finds its way in. I think it dropped down off the bar, hit Palmer and went in. You've got to feel for him a little bit. Not the cleanest of goals, it was slightly fortuitous. But Bangor City have the lead and we've been dominant so far. You can completely understand why it's come. Having said that, Barrytown United, for the first 15 minutes, very equal in possession. It is starting to sway a little bit now. As we play out from the back with George Wickens again. Again, it's probably a bit of a warm-up to the bigger event, the League Cup final. It's not something we've actually shown the last couple of years because we've become so dominant. But this year we have dropped off a little as McKinnon gets in again and our former keeper saves it. I think the thing we've got to understand this season is that the other sides are making a big step in terms of strength in depth. And if we can just get to that coefficient place where another side gets into a higher European competition, I feel like we're only 2 years away from 3 sides regularly being in group stage football. And I know the other 2 will probably be the Europa Conference, but it is an absolutely massive step regardless. As Colwyn Bay ahead again, Harvey Lloyd puts a corner in, Morgan punches as far as Whittaker, his ball back in comfortably dealt with. Good hands from Harry Morgan, he's showing why he's come through our youth academy and developed well. And at the moment, one of the best players on the pitch, despite Barry being behind. He has kept it 1-0 though, as it's a long ball forward. Intercepted by Yesten Weaver for Harvey Lloyd. Excellent ball winner in there. It finds its way to Jones, the number 10. Anderson to Rosario. Malone can strike from here. No pressure on him. Good block on the edge of the box. Jenkins back to Heath. The former TNS man clears, only as far as Whittaker. Anderson out to McKinnon, into the area. Rogers heads away. All of our former players trying to produce their best tonight. Trying to stop us from getting a comfortable win. As Weaver goes back to Anderson. Third time lucky, is it? Of course it is. Ball into the back post for Ewan McKinnon. Time literally stood still in that highlight as it glitched as the ball entered the net. But it is 2-0. It's the perfect time to score the second. And we can get confident for half-time now as Gwyn Morgan throws in from the right. Could there be a third with McKinnon? Morgan chips it forward. Tom Jones is in. There is a third before the break. Excellent work from the number 10. 50 league goals for Tom Jones. He's only, 21? It's an incredible effort from the number 10 as Barrytown United score. Hughes with a free header from the corner. We've got to be concerned about that. And Yesten Weaver can't do enough on the line. It's one of my biggest concerns actually as Colwyn Bay got a second goal. Is that this season, despite the fact we've still been dominant, we have been a lot weaker defensively in the domestic games. Now that can be slight changes of personnel. That can be the fact that we've got a probably too dominant team and they might be getting a bit complacent. But it is a concern regardless. Into the second half, we go at 3-1 up. There's no concern in terms of the result today. There's still a few warning signs at the back. Substitutions to be made with a quarter to go. Let's go and see who we can bring on. And these are the three that we've brought on. It will be Bulkley, Martin and Burrows who come on. Off will go Whittaker, who was a little bit tired coming back from fitness, or back from injury, to fitness. And then Tom Jones and Ewan McKinnon, who had the heavy match loads. As Gwyn Morgan clears downfield, Rogers intercepts for Palmer. Lovely ball forward, which Passiorek clears away, only as far as Harry Gray. Through ball intercepted by Weaver. It's a miracle, really, that Harry Gray is still at Barrytown United. He's been there for years. He's been a star player for many a time. As Harvey Lloyd chips it forward, Rosario on the end of the mistake. It was Dean Rogers who missed it. And Harry Morgan saves again. Incredible work from the Barrytown #1. He deserves the Man of the Match award, regardless of what our boys have done. As we've got the ball on the left-hand side again with Anderson, and I've talked about Harry Gray. I'd wondered why we were coming back there as we were passing backwards. But Harry Gray just stuck his foot out, and it's a free kick and a second yellow card. So Gray will be suspended, I think maybe for the cup final, which could be a massive loss for them. We'll see if that's right or not. Burrows heads away the long kick. Malone will get there on the right-hand side. He gets past another sliding tackle towards the byline. 3 in the box. That's an incredibly harsh penalty. Gareth Hughes is the man who was adjudged to have fouled. It says it looked a contentious decision. I'm not arguing with that. Kyo Bulkley can take it. Let's get the youngster some fitness and let's get the youngster some confidence. Let's see what he can do. Up comes Kyo Bulkley against Harry Morgan. His former youth team co-player sends his man the wrong way. His 5th goal of the season. And Kyo Bulkley is well on his way to becoming a Bangor City superstar. 5-1 it is. It's a little harsh on Barry. But it's been a good display. As Lloyd gets the ball in. Malone's header just over the bar. It will stay 5 with all 3 minutes of stoppage time gone. And that's the perfect dress rehearsal. We'll be back in a moment for the League Cup final. And hopefully be much of the same again. Well, it's pleasant surprise time. One impromptu Windows update and 30 minutes of frustration later, we are back with a big sale that we didn't have to sell. Doesn't make sense? Let's go and have a look at what I mean. Nobody else coming into the club. There's not a huge amount I need to do. Obviously, Morgan Boys left on the 1st of January. He was pre-agreed to go to Doncaster. Physically, he's all over the shop now. But Ryan Bowers, our 19-year-old Northern Irish youngster, not very good. He had 1.5 star ability with about 2.5 potential. Was on loan at Aberystwyth, has been for 2.5 years. But Larne came in and tried to nick him. And it was a pre-contracted deal, so we didn't have to worry. It was just compensation. And because of that increase to the reputation and our player values, the compensation is now 240,000 guaranteed, with 650 grand potentially. And I mean, look at him. He's average by Welsh Premier League standards. It's an incredible bit of business. I'm really, really pleased with it. One of the best bits we've done. Of course, we had one a few years ago with Tony McLaughlin when he left Wales. But I'm delighted. So let's go and see what happens in this match. I mean, basically, the fee that we paid for Yolo Maxwell has come back for that one. And, I mean, we've got the better player. So I'm very happy with that. Let's go and have a look at the cup final against Barry. Of course, we know the qualities they've got. We don't know if Harry Gray's going to be suspended after the last game. And in fact, we'll probably need to make a fair few changes. So let's go and rotate that 11 again. We'll be back in a moment for the lineup. And there it is. So the same 2 with the heavy match load, the 2 that had to play last weekend. Kresimir Loza's back from injury and on the bench, alongside a few of the regular names. But it's a really good side. I mean, John Price I might bring in for Weaver, because Morgan can play both fullbacks. Malone can cover right back if we get desperate. I feel that gives us a better balance. But it's George Wickens in goal. Kai McDonald back at right back. He's staying another year. Bektas on the left with Kelly and Whittaker at centre half. Lloyd, Reyes, Broom and Tom Jones, the midfield diamond. Really hoping we can keep Reyes. He's starting to impress now. And then McKinnon and Walters up front. 24 and 34 goals respectively. They're on course for big seasons again. Let's go and get into the Welsh League Cup final. And see if Barrytown United will fall over again. That's what we're hoping for. So, 6 changes from the last game. A debut for Alex Reid, the centre half, one of our former players. A lot of very familiar names in there, but no Harry Gray. So it does suggest, I mean, what's happened is Rogers has gone to left back, Heath into the holding role, and Alex Reid is in at centre half. So Harry Gray being suspended has caused Alex Reid to come in today, but that's what having strength in depth can do. It gives you a better squad. So let's go and get into the first half. We won 5-1 in a league game last week. What will the score be this time? And where on earth are we playing? That looks like the Millennium Stadium. It's massive. I mean, I can't see the roof, so maybe not, but it is a massive stadium. And I can't think of any other one in Wales unless it's Cardiff City or Swansea, which it wouldn't be with the colour of the seats for Swansea. I don't understand how we've got into this position. What a ground to play at. We'll go and find that out afterwards. But 10 minutes gone, 0-0. Let's see if we can get on top. As we've got a corner kick with Harvey Lloyd. Nearly a quarter of an hour gone. Ewan McKinnon with a bullet header. Got the run on his man who was zonal marking. Brilliant header onto the crossbar, and it drops down and back up into the roof of the net. That's how much power it had on it. The keeper had absolutely no chance. Harry Morgan, hero for them last time, could do nothing about that. This is a long goal kick forward which Whittaker intercepts. Tries to knock it over the top for Walters, but it's just overhit, and Harry Morgan deals with it comfortably. Distributes quick too. Kelly heads away as far as Jenkins on the left wing. All the way back to his keeper yet again, who's playing very direct today. Seems to be a deliberate ploy. Maybe on a wider pitch they feel they can catch us out that way. But Broom releases Bektas and we still look comfortable. Through to Kane Walters, might have been offside. He wasn't, nothing given, but Harry Morgan makes the save. 1-0 Bangor City, dominance again. We got a free kick right side of the box. Really dangerous position for Harvey Lloyd. And Kelly heads onto the roof of the net. Been a really good performance, but while it's only one, you never know. As Bektas throws in again, it's relentless pressure. Walters towards the byline. Chance to cross, it's blocked by Palmer. On a yellow card early again, had that in the last game. Managed to keep himself disciplined. Josh Thomas flicks on, our former start, gives it to Whittaker. George Rickens will bring it down. Out to Reyes. They're not really pressing us in our own half. It's allowing us to play out comfortably. Spreads it to Bektas, who releases Kane Walters. McKinnon's in the middle. So's Tom Jones. Ewan McKinnon, the man he picks out. Left-footed, so composed into the near corner of the net. It's an excellent finish. 2-0 Bangor City. And we can't be happier. We've got to be winning our first trophy of the year here. And it doesn't look like anything is going to stop us. And a pretty confident half. 2-0 at the break. No shots at all for Barry Town. 10 for us, 4 on target, 2 goals. Over 60% of the possession. We're looking really good. And as the Welsh League splits and we get further away at the top of the table, albeit not our best year in terms of Welsh titles, no invincibles, we've dropped points all over the place, but we're still going to win it comfortably at the moment. And that allows us to focus on Europe, which is a must. I don't care if we lose other competitions. If after all the hassle we've had this year, imagine this is the year we get past the last 16 in the Europa League for the first time. It would be ridiculous. As McKinnon gets it to Walters on the left. First half of this second period has been very quiet, but Walters breaks away there and hits it just wide. We're going to make a couple of changes. Tom Jones will be replaced by Loza, who makes his return from injury. Malone will come on for Chris Broom, who's looking aggressive in the middle. Not the fittest either. And then at the back, Kai McDonald, just because he's had a knock, will be replaced by Gwyn Morgan, the homegrown youth intake player. Another one on the pitch. We've got to be so proud of that record now. The fact that there's 3 or 4 contributing to the squad. One of my favourite moments of the save, as Harvey Lloyd crosses the ball. Another dangerous position. His set-piece delivery has been on point today. It's headed away as far as Kane Walters, who drops all the way to halfway. Plays a 1-2 with Bektas. The man over on the right. Instead, it's a brilliant ball through. Patrick Malone released. It was almost roles reverse. The centre midfielder makes the attacking run. The centre forward drops into the quarterback position. It was almost like Kane Walters channeling Harry Kane there. Drops in. Lovely big through ball. And into the corner of the net. It's fantastic stuff. 3-0 Bangor City. And here's Smith as Barrytown United try and get a consolation. To Hughes, who scored in the last weekend match. Bektas intercepts a poor pass though. Releases Kane Walters in the left channel. McKinnon's in the middle, I think on his hat-trick. Palmer brings him down in the box. It didn't look a particularly big foul. Palmer doesn't get his second yellow. McKinnon might get his hat-trick though. Oh, we gave Harry Morgan so much praise in the last match. I have no idea how he let that penalty in. It squirmed under him down the middle. And it's 4-0 Bangor City. Again, slightly harsh on the balance of play. Barrytown United certainly haven't deserved to score, but we've probably not deserved 4. As George Wickens picks the ball up in his own area again, claims the corner brilliantly, and plays out to Whittaker and Kelly. That's certainly becoming our partnership at the back now. Mackenzie's become a backup. As Reyes gets the ball wide to Walters. Can we get a 5th? Score 5 like we did last time. We're starting to make a real statement of intent going forward. So that was a flying tackle from the centre forward. Did brilliantly to evade it. Releases Walters on the left into Ewan McKinnon. 4 for the game, 5 for Bangor City. Oh, I'm so glad he's staying another year. What a footballer Ewan McKinnon is. Our first official wonder kid at the club in any capacity. He's going to be staying with us for a third season. 5-0 to Bangor City. We will be lifting the Welsh League Cup. I know this is becoming the norm now. And I know it's going to be a couple more years before the others compete. But our job is to be dominant and get them into the European group stages. And to do that, we have to have a squad of this capability. 5-0 in a League Cup final. We'll go and find out where the game was. But Bangor City lift the League Cup in Wales. The first trophy of what I hope will be 4 again. And maybe we can break our last 16 duck in the Europa League. Let's go and find out when we'll next be back. Have a quick look at the Welsh transfer window. But what a day at the office. 2 5s on the score sheet. 2 wins against Barry Town. So I think this is probably one of the biggest signs of how far Welsh football has come. The winners of this competition, £60,000. Now if you compare that to the first year, it was under 20. So for when other sides start succeeding and pipping us in those big games, it is going to make a big difference to them financially and maybe even in terms of turning professional. That's something we've got to be positive about. I just want to have a quick check at where that game was hosted again, because I know we mentioned we were going to look. It wasn't a stadium I recognised. The Cardiff Community Stadium. So who's there? It's in Cardiff, obviously. There's no teams that play there. Built in 2022, it's a 55,000 seater and is used for other random competitions. So was it built for like a domestic European Cup final? Was it built for a World Cup, for a European Championships? I just don't know. There's so much that doesn't make sense there. Maybe in the future one of the other sides can use it for their European matches, because it makes no sense for that not to be used. I can't quite work that one out. But regardless, it's the first game it's ever hosted by the looks of things. That makes absolutely no sense. Having said that, let's go and have a quick look at the Welsh transfer window, see what's been happening in the last week. Not a huge amount. Ryan Bowers obviously the big one, leaving us for Larne. But a few other players, Wayne Harding to Kefan Druids, coming back from the English lower leagues and non-league to try and make it in Wales again. We're tempting them back. And a player who was a first choice one for TNS before is now back playing for Kefan Druids. That can only be a good thing for the nation. Let's have a look at the schedule note for when we're next going to be back. I think it's fair to say it's going to be centred around Shakhtar Donetsk. The miracle has led us to still be in Europe, and we've got to take advantage of it. I'd love it to be the first year we break the duck, but of course it's going to be difficult. We've had great nights against Shakhtar before and Dynamo Kiev, 2 of the Ukrainian sides. But fingers crossed we can do it again. We might show the first leg alongside Dunfermline or the second alongside TNS, depending on how we're getting on. But if you want to stay up to date and you did enjoy this episode, please do put a thumbs up on it. You can see the effect the PSG result has had on this team. Since then, it's been almost unanimously 5 6s and 8s on one occasion. We look scintillating now. We look confident. We look great in front of goal. And we've even stopped conceding in a few of the games too. If you want to stay up to date and find out how we get on the rest of the year, I feel we're on the cusp now. Please do subscribe down below and turn that notification bell on. There's loads of playlists up in the eye above, as well as a link to the Twitch channel with regular live streams. But I'll see you next time. European football returns. We didn't think we'd be saying that in the last episode. And I hope you'll join me for it. One day off tomorrow for the European Championships final. I hope you all enjoy the game between England and Italy. And we'll be back to the normal schedule next week. Daily videos here. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.